There is a threshold located in the very center of the Catholic world that is permanently denied to you. You will never cross it. It is not simply that this entrance is monitored by the Swiss Guard, although their presence is absolute. It is not merely that it is obscured from the bustling tourist routes, although millions walk past its general vicinity every single year without glancing twice. It is denied to you because it has been deliberately, physically, and irreversibly obliterated. It is a doorway that has been choked with mortar and sealed with heavy stone. This is not the temporary plywood hoarding of a restoration project. This is not a zone closed for routine maintenance. This is an architectural declaration of absolute erasure. It is a physical manifestation of a command that states, whatever lies in the suffocating darkness beyond this barrier is removed from human history. It is not for the public. It is not for the devout. It is no longer for anyone at all. I stumbled onto this reality, or rather the gaping negative space where this reality should be, while conducting a deep dive into the structural topography of the Vatican sovereign state. I was not looking at the glossy brochures handed out at the ticket counters. I ignored the romanticized art history textbooks that endlessly dissect the brushstrokes of Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel or the geometric perfection of Bernini's colonnade. I was looking for the raw, unpolished engineering schematics. I was searching through historical blueprints, foundational surveys, and the dry, as bureaucratic building logs that do not care about aesthetics. I wanted to understand not what the Vatican projects to the sky, but what it has buried in the earth. Because the undeniable truth is that the visible Vatican City is merely a capstone. It is a glorious, gilded lid resting on top of a sprawling, lightless labyrinth. Directly beneath the polished marble floors of St. Peter's Basilica, stretching outward beneath the Apostolic Palace, charting a hidden course under the manicured geometries of the Vatican Gardens and the labyrinthine museum wings, lies a subterranean universe. It is a vast, interconnected web of forgotten catacombs, sealed corridors, ancient masonry, and cavernous drops. The absolute boundaries of this underground network have never been mapped for the public. A tiny, but highly sanitized fraction of it is acknowledged. The Vatican necropolis, the genuine ancient Roman city of the dead discovered in the mid-20th century, can be visited if you book months in advance. The Vatican grottos, the shallow basement level housing the ornate tombs of past popes, are open to the masses. But those spaces are a curated illusion. They are the distraction. They represent a mere sliver of the subterranean reality. The rest of it, the corridors that suddenly dead-end into solid brick, the descending stairwells barred by iron grates that haven't been unlocked in centuries, the deep chambers that appear as faint, dotted lines on 17th century architectural drafts, but have been meticulously scrubbed from modern structural maps, remain entirely off-limits. They are not closed pending a safety review. Oh, they are closed with a chilling permanence. In multiple documented instances, these underground spaces have remained artificially sealed for well over 300 years. This inevitably forces a rational mind to ask a highly uncomfortable question. What condition, what object, or what terrifying truth necessitates 3 straight centuries of uninterrupted masonry? If you ask the Vatican's press office about the deeper tunnels, you will not get a frantic denial. Denial implies there is something to hide. Instead, you get a weaponized, impenetrable silence. They simply do not engage with the premise. If a credentialed archaeologist requests access to the structural anomalies existing beyond the approved tourist route of the Scavi, the request is politely denied with 0 context provided. If a scholar writes an inquiry regarding the unmapped subterranean voids extending toward the Tiber River, they are handed a bibliography of published books that solely discuss the areas the Vatican has already sanitized and cleared. The public-facing maps of the world's smallest country detail every single above-ground fountain and statue, yet they treat the ground beneath the basilica as if it were a solid, impenetrable block of granite. But the earth is not solid. The earth is hollow, and it holds a narrative that the institution sitting heavily on top of it has desperately tried to dominate. Consider the geography. Vatican Hill, the sloping elevation on the west side of the Tiber River where the heart of the church now pulses, was not originally a Christian sanctuary. Long before a single gospel was penned, it was a Roman city of the dead. It was a sprawling pagan necropolis where wealthy Roman families built elaborate multi-story mausoleums. When the Roman Emperor Constantine decided to construct the original St. Peter's Basilica in the 4th century, he made a staggering architectural decision. He did not build his grand church next to the cemetery. He built it directly over it. He ordered his engineers to shear off the tops of the pagan tombs, fill the sacred burial chambers with thousands of tons of dirt, and lay the foundation of the Christian church directly across the suffocated dead. The Vatican freely admits this. It is a matter of historical pride. However, when you read the fine print of the archaeological record, the narrative becomes deeply unsettling. Fast forward to the 1940s. Pope Pius XII ordered a highly secretive excavation beneath the high altar of St. Peter's. The publicly stated mission was theological: find the physical remains of St. Peter the Apostle to validate the absolute authority of the papacy. Eventually, they found a set of bones wrapped in purple and gold thread, and the church declared victory. But the actual field reports generated by the archaeologists working in the dirt tell a much darker, much more complex story. These reports were eventually published in incredibly dense, academic Latin and Italian. If you have the patience to translate them, you will find descriptions of the excavation teams breaking through ancient walls and discovering dark, descending passages that shot off into the unmapped depths of Vatican Hill. Or these were corridors that extended far beyond the targeted excavation zone. Did the archaeologists follow these tunnels to see where they led? Did they document the deep history hiding in the dark? No. The official reports dryly state that these passageways were measured at the threshold and subsequently sealed. They found doorways leading into the unknown, and instead of walking through them, they filled them with bricks and mortar. They left them in the dark. 70 years have passed since those excavations, and there has never been a follow-up expedition. The brick walls remain. And this was not an isolated incident. If you trace the architectural lineage back to the Renaissance, when the original Constantinian church was torn down to build the magnificent St. Peter's we see today, the records are even more bizarre. Throughout the 1500s and 1600s, legendary architects like Bramante, Raphael, and Michelangelo were digging massive foundation trenches to support the colossal weight of the new dome. Repeatedly, the laborers' pickaxes would break through into immense, echoing subterranean voids. They found structures and catacombs that were far too deep to belong to the Roman necropolis. Based on the geological stratigraphy, these chambers belonged to an era long before the Roman Empire even existed. How did the papal authorities react to these monumental discoveries? The logs reveal a staggering consistency. The orders were immediate and absolute. Fill the voids with rubble, pour the concrete, seal the entrances, and never speak of it again. This is not the behavior of a single panicking project manager. This is the execution of a multi-generational, an institutional mandate. It is a standing directive that has survived the deaths of dozens of popes, hundreds of cardinals, and thousands of engineers. It is a prime directive passed down through the centuries. If the earth opens up and shows you something deeper than Rome, close its mouth. What kind of institutional terror is strong enough to survive 300 years of turnover? What secret requires such aggressive, continuous physical burial? To understand the stones, you must understand the paper. The physical sealing of the underground tunnels is perfectly mirrored by the Vatican's control over its documentary history. I am speaking, of course, of the Vatican's secret archives. Recently, the Vatican engaged in a brilliant piece of public relations by officially rebranding the facility as the Vatican Apostolic Archives. They gently explained to the global press that the Latin word secretum merely translates to private or personal, not hidden or clandestine. They assured the world there is nothing sinister in the vaults. It is merely the Pope's private filing cabinet. But this is a filing cabinet that contains an estimated 53 miles of shelving. It is a continuous, unbroken chain of human documentation stretching back over 1,200 years. And the methodology of accessing this information is arguably the most draconian academic process on the planet. You do not simply walk into the Apostolic Archives. You must be an elite, heavily vetted scholar. You must apply months in advance, explicitly stating the exact name, date, and catalog number of the specific document you wish to see. If you are approved, you are escorted into a reading room. You are handed that single piece of paper. You are watched. You cannot browse the shelves. You cannot look at the folder next to yours. You cannot follow the natural, wandering path of historical inquiry. You see only the microscopic fragment you were pre-approved to see, and then you are escorted out. The Vatican claims this is simply to protect fragile administrative records. But 53 miles of shelving does not solely contain grain receipts and medieval tax forms. The restriction protocol is a blanket policy. It protects the mundane and the earth-shattering with the exact same wall of impenetrable bureaucracy. When you speak to the scholars who have run this gauntlet, or they whisper of anomalies, they speak of reading an approved letter from a 15th century cardinal that explicitly references a massive, crucial report. But when they request that specific report, they are told it does not exist. They speak of discovering massive, inexplicable chronological gaps in the records of highly controversial historical periods. Even more chillingly, there are documented instances where a researcher was granted access to a specific historical ledger during one visit. But when they returned a year later to check a citation, that exact ledger had been abruptly reclassified as unavailable for study. The very act of a human being perceiving the document caused the institution to pull it back into the shadows. Do you see the parallel? The archives and the tunnels are exactly the same thing. They are twin manifestations of an ancient obsession with access control. The institution has decided that there are certain depths in the earth and certain depths in the historical record that the human race is simply not permitted to navigate. So, what is the ultimate secret? Why is the Vatican so terrified of its own foundations? The answer lies in the name of the hill itself. Long before St. Peter was crucified, long before Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon, the Etruscans and ancient Latin tribes considered this specific geography to be highly sacred. The word Vatican is derived from the Latin vaticinare, which literally means to prophesy. Vatican Hill was the ancient pagan epicenter for oracles, seers, and communication with the divine. It was a place of deep, ancient magic. When you look at the archaeological layers of Vatican Hill, you are looking at a chronological weapon. At the top is the Catholic Basilica. Beneath that is the Roman necropolis. Beneath that are earlier, archaic Roman structures. And beneath that, in the deep, sealed darkness that the Vatican refuses to let anyone map, are the remnants of the pre-Roman sacred sites. This is not a uniquely Catholic phenomenon. It is the brutal, universal law of religious conquest. The victorious faith always builds its holiest monuments directly on top of the holiest monuments of the vanquished. The Islamic Dome of the Rock sits squarely on top of the ruins